This week in country music history, a song about surviving the storm became a farewell none of us saw coming. Welcome to CMA's This Week in Country Music History. Let's take it back to 1989. Country music was on the precipice of the 90s boom, and one Kentucky singer had become one of the most respected voices in the format. On April 8th, 1989, I'm No Stranger to the Rain by Keith Whitley hit number one on the Billboard Hot Country chart. It was his fifth number one hit, a song built on honesty, heartbreak, and resilience. The lyrics weren't flashy. They weren't dramatic. They were lived in. I'm no stranger to the rain. I can spot bad weather, Whitley sang. He sang it like a man who understood storms and had been through a few himself. This wasn't just another chart topper. It solidified Keith Whitley as one of the purest traditional voices of his generation. His phrasing, effortless. His tone, unmistakable. His delivery, vulnerable without ever feeling weak. In an era leaning towards polish, Keith sounded real. But here's the part that makes the moment so significant. Just 1 month later, on May 9th, 1989, Keith Whitley passed away at just 34 years old after a long struggle with alcohol addiction. The song about surviving the storm became his final number one hit released during his lifetime. What sounded like resilience suddenly felt like a goodbye. His career was brief, but his influence, massive. You can hear Keith Whitley in the emotional control of Garth Brooks, in the traditional backbone of Alan Jackson, in the grounded storytelling of Clint Black, in the vulnerable heartbreak delivery of Tracy Lawrence, in the phrasing and purity of Vince Gill, and even in modern voices like Chris Young. He didn't overpower a lyric, he lived inside it. And because he did, a generation of country artists learned that strength doesn't always come from volume. Sometimes it comes from restraint. I'm No Stranger to the Rain was awarded CMA Single of the Year in 1989. Whitley's widow, Lori Morgan, accepted on his behalf, saying this.
5 months ago, on this date, I lost the world's greatest husband. In country music, in my eyes, lost the world's greatest singer.
Whitley was inducted posthumously in the Country Music Hall of Fame in 2022, solidifying his place in country music history. April 8th, 1989 will always mark the release of a number one song about weathering the storm from a man who made his mark like a lightning strike. That's This Week in Country Music History. Make sure to subscribe to CMA for next week's story about the longest running country music festival in the world.